the Marmalade spread.
I want to say forever is a long, long time. I want to say forever is a long, long time. 小时候在一起，你看我，看你，看我每一天，很投机，在一起，在那long, long, long time. I want to say forever is a long, long time. I want to say forever is a long, long time. 小时候在一起，你看我，看你，看我每一天，很投机，在一起，在那long, long, long time. I want to say forever is a long, long time. I want to say forever is a long, long time. Forever is a long, long time. It's a long time, a long time. Forever is a long, long time. You walked over, I came closer. Life with you forever, lover, never ending, everlasting. Life with you extraordinary. Walked over, I came closer. Life with you forever, lover, never ending, everlasting. Life with you extraordinary. You walked over, I came closer. Life with you forever, lover, never ending, everlasting. Life with you extraordinary.
Whoa, one of my favorite bands of 2025. I 100% guarantee this is going to be one of your favorites very soon. This is Chinese American Bear. They are friendly to the show. I've played them once before with their new track, Forever Lover. And that was just such a sweet way to start off, I feel like, because I have been waiting for new music by this band and this duo for quite a bit of time. So I'm very happy that we could start it off this way, which is really, really nice. So we are back with the Marmalade Spread, and I'm with an incredible person, Lucie Watson, who is originally from New Zealand and has been here for quite a bit of time, doing some incredible things in the music industry and just working with amazing artists that the songs are great, the people behind it are great, and you've worked on some incredible tracks that have gone absolutely mental in the world. So I'm really excited to learn a little bit more about your story, talk a little about the great things that you do, and you've kind of had a nice little shift over the past year-ish time into something brand new. So I'm really excited to get into it with you. So thanks for being here, Lucie.
Thanks for having me.
So you've been here now for about 11 years,
Yes.
coming from New Zealand.
Yes.
Why did you move here?
Opportunity. That's actually why growing up in New Zealand, it's obviously a pretty small place, population of just over 5 million. And so the idea of coming to London, a huge, like, multicultural melting pot, huge city, huge population, it was just the opportunity that brought me over.
It's massive, as you just said, in London. Global scene, so much music coming through. It's a great appeal, but it's probably hard to navigate when you first get over here.
Yes.
And coming from New Zealand, that area, and I feel like New Zealand and Australia really get lumped together, and hopefully that's a good thing in some ways because you can kind of bounce off each other, but it's very isolated in some capacities. And I feel like that has been a big mission of yours, is to create a little bit less of an isolation through there, but you had to go through that first, didn't you?
Yes.
You
I
had to
did.
make that happen. So what was your transition coming from New Zealand? How did you get here, and what was the first thing you got involved with?
Well, I got here through northern Iraq, where I worked for a year teaching English.
How most people do.
How
That
most
makes-
people do.
Yes, yes.
And that was just an incredible opportunity to leave New Zealand, go do something, completely different. And when I was there, I was writing for a music blog. I had a lot of downtime. I was obsessed with music discovery. So on SoundCloud, that was, SoundCloud. I know it's still used a lot, but back then it was like really used a lot for music discovery. And I reached out to one of my favorite blogs, Indie Shuffle, and I hoped that the Iraq thing would give me a bit of an edge.
Yeah.
And thankfully it did. So I started writing for a music blog, and then through that, managed to get some really great contacts from London, some small managers, labels, and artists who'd been pitching me their music. So I decided to, go and change all of the money that I'd earned into pounds, got a one-way flight, thankfully have an English passport,
Nice.
thanks to my dad.
Yes.
And so came over, and it was just so amazing being able to start with the few people that I'd met. But yeah, there's the great thing about Kiwis, as I even learned in Iraq, is that you will find a pocket of us anywhere in the world. Like, it could be the most obscure part of the world, and there will be a few Kiwis. So even, coming to London, it was definitely like a bit of a safety net. I had friends that were already here, and it was like in that sense, it was a great place to land. But I did have to do all of the music sort of hustle, outside of the friendship group, and and really, try and find some context on the ground and get going.
Well, what you said, you've told me, no matter where you are, the Kiwis will find each other because everyone has said, go out, go explore, go see the world, go. When are you leaving to be able to go somewhere?
Yes.
So it must feel kind of nice to be able to take a little bit of just a leap of faith and see where that is. And what your background actually is not specifically in music per se, but you said advertising, you told me.
Advertising, yeah.
So the transition is, maybe a little bit in the marketing side, if you
Yes.
can kind of transition, but it's still a whole different experience.
Yes, it is. I definitely the marketing side of advertising, the working on multiple projects at once, and just that, that real hard work that you've got to put in. Like, advertising was still the most ruthless industry I've been in, and I really think it set me up for everything that was to come, because it was a work hard, play hard culture. But yeah, so I was really hoping that, though, the skills would be transferable. And actually, when I came over, I was lucky enough to volunteer for a very small label, Memphis Industries, and it's these two brothers, and they had been pitching me music, and so to be able to come over here and meet with them for a beer, and then they were like, oh, do you want to come and intern for us? And it was like the least glamorous label, no offense to them.
Yeah.
But it was like, a tiny, dingy little office in Highbury and Islington with stacks and stacks of boxes. You couldn't even find the kettle. And it was there that, I was writing like press releases and just helping them with odd sort of stuff. But I took it very seriously. I was like the first one there and the last one there, and I think in hindsight they probably just wanted me to come in and drop in for like a couple of hours and leave, rather than
She's still here.
yeah,
She's
I
still
know.
here.
My God, look at her. She's just desperate for some work. Like, just send her something.
Yeah.
But it was, that was just a really, really great sort of starting point, and it was, just incredible to be able to actually have something on my CV, I think, like an English company, an English music company, especially a label. And so that really, really helped, I think, with like what came next.
It really is just sometimes you fall into things, but it is the hard work and the hustle and how long you were writing for the blog ahead of time that probably got you in the mindset of you knew what people wanted, you knew how to have those conversations, you knew how to be able to kind of turn that into not just a meet, I'll do a service for you, but actually how can we help each other out in different ways, and they kind of fall into some different opportunities in that capacity. And you're telling me, and I fully agree with this, it's putting yourself out there and good things will come, and being able to just network and meeting people and being around people, because there's so many people who, let's say, want to be in the music industry, they want to be around this on a regular basis. The application world, it's just not the right way anymore. And I think that's kind of nice back in the day where you did have to just meet somebody to be in the music industry. Didn't even know it was a real job probably for a little bit of time.
I did not, no.
So, and same with me, like being able to learn that. So it's kind of nice when you just keep meeting people and see like this is actual job you can do. So it feels like from coming from New Zealand, stopping on the way in Iraq, and then being able to write in music from a distance allowed you hopefully a little bit of connection through there. Love that.
Yes,
it's a nice little journey.
And just like lifted under the lid to be like, oh my God, like, I sort of writing for this blog, I thought maybe I'll be like a PR person or, in like the promotional marketing sort of world. But that's definitely not where I ended up. So it was just amazing to come over here and land and then, do all of this networking and go to all these events and actually just even learn about the different roles that existed in the industry. Even then we didn't have like ChatGPT, so we couldn't just like, figure it all out that way. We had to do it manually. We had to go and meet people and actually like learn.
You're like, wow, tell me actually your story.
Yeah.
Tell me why you've done all these things. Instead of just looking at someone up on the internet and hopefully getting some type of answer through there. Love that. Well, we're here to make this all happen. But I'm really excited to get into throughout the conversation more about what you've turned your whole kind of career into.
Yes.
I think you've worked on some incredible tracks, which I'm excited to be able to get into as well, that you picked. So we have a lot to come. We're going to move into our next track now. It's called Damn by Delwater Gap, and it is off a album that I actually just have been having just going on and on and on. It started in the background and now it's come to the forefront. This is a really amazing piece of music in this album. So gonna give you a little sample. Please enjoy Damn, Delwater Gap.
Money and women come, but before you know it they're all gone. And these pearls I'm diving for, they've been pebbles all along. And did I make a little girl out of you? I'm sorry I've been so fake. I put your bathwater in my soup. I hope my neighbor don't mind the taste. At the beginning of the story, when all we've got is faith, and the fire lasts till you're not entertained. And it's a tiny little promise when the morning starts to break, but you feel sick to your stomach anyway. That's what it's like to be free. Damn. That's what it's like to be free. Damn. Why wear my armor when I can be soft? Why be a hero when I can be me? It's a lonely kind of stuff involved, but it's the only way I get to sleep, And it's a slaughterhouse, this loving thing I give up, I lie down to take the knife. At the beginning of the story, when all we've got is faith, and the fire lasts till you're not entertained. And it's a tiny little promise when the morning starts to break, but you feel sick to your stomach anyway. That's what it's like to be free. Damn. That's what it's like to be free. Damn, that's what it's like to be free. Damn. Well, I got a feeling that you're too important. It looks like that I probably can't afford it. A sinking ship with a mini bar, a hurricane on a house of cards. I see the cracks and I can't ignore it. If I could swim 1,000 miles, you'd probably ask for more. Tell me what's on your mind, with your head up in the clouds. Why am I wasting my time when I know you'll let me down? It's all wrong, it's not right, you're not mine anyway. So tell me what's on your mind, I think I figured it out. And I get lost when I'm in your orbit. Can't get close to a heart that's haunted. Astronauts and satellites asking for a sign of life. I'll write you a song, but I won't record it. If I could chase 1,000,000 stars but never see the light, tell me what's on your mind, with your head up in the clouds. Why am I wasting my time? I know you'll let me down. It's so wrong, it's not right, you're not mine anyway. Tell me what's on your mind, I think I figured it out. I figured it out. Figured it out. I figured it out.
Well, that was absolutely beautiful. That was the song Important, and that is a nice little splice of two amazing vocals between Michigander, actually his song, and this is a reiteration of that with Taylor Goldsmith. I found the original track that Michigander reached out, like he released the first one, and was absolutely in awe. Then I think it was a few weeks later, this song came out, and I'm like, this is the same song, why does it sound different? And I went in there, and Taylor Goldsmith actually is the lead singer of Dawes, the band, and I know Michigander, so his name's Jason. I know him personally really, really well. I've known him for a handful, it's been like maybe 7-8 years now. He lives in Nashville, and I just know how much he's a fan of that band, Dawes, and I feel like this has been such a great collaboration that the two of them put together. It's been sitting on my playlist for a bit of time, and when I was putting together a few tracks for this today, it just kept coming back to it, and I just felt like that was such a nice way of being able to enter in. Really appreciate Michigander. I think he has some incredible music. I've got to see him at so many different live shows, and he is a performer in many which ways, but even more, he connects to you in so many deep capacities. So I think you can feel that in a lot of music. So I hope you enjoyed Important. That was a really good iteration together between the two of them, Taylor and Michigander. So now I'm going to pass it on to Lucie's first track that she's selected.
Yes, okay, so my first track is from an artist, Mila Vandel. The song is called Weathered. And Mila is one of my artists on the Goodtwin roster, which we'll get into.
Yeah.
She just actually released this song on Wednesday, and it's the second song that she's ever released into the world. And one of the things about Goodtwin that I'm really trying to do is find artists from New Zealand, Australia, who I think have a really international sound.
Yeah.
They can stand, outside of that territory, and when you listen to them, you think that they could be American or English. And at Platoon, the label that I was at previously, I worked on, I sort of ran the singer-songwriter side of the company. So just had the most incredible experience working with artists like Billie Eilish and Holly Humberstone and Yabba and so many incredible artists. And the very first time I heard this, Mila's first song, it just stopped me in my tracks, So I think that for this, for me, I think Mila really, stands the test of she just sounds like an international artist. Really beautiful songwriting, and yeah, just a really, really exciting artist. And how I actually discovered her was in May, I ran a competition in New Zealand to find an emerging artist. So we were giving away a prize. And the caliber of artists that entered the competition was just so incredible. We chose a winner, but then we also signed another 4 artists off the back of it because it was so hard to choose the winner. We just went round and round and round and round, which is a great thing. And so Mila was one of the finalists, and so ended up working with her. So
you won the jackpot, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Getting all these amazing artists
yes,
to come and submit
I
and
know.
connect to you.
It's a great way to actually just get an influx of incredible early stage artists.
Well, this is new. This song is brand new.
It is.
Out into the world. You've probably heard it many, many times.
I have.
But this is now feels really great that we can all be around it. So please enjoy Weathered by Mila Vandel. Vandel. Sorry, yes. Vandel. Mila Vandel.
You washed away all the memories we made. What a privilege it was to have known me. I'll wait around for those songs to be made. In the meantime, why don't you try therapy? I knew you better than anyone else. Whatever the weather, I'll be there, just reach out for help. Your flowers don't bloom in the winter, and maybe it wasn't meant to be. I'm wasting my time waiting for you to grow when you didn't want me. I'm sitting alone in my sorrows, whilst you go and gaslight the fuck out of me. Your flowers don't bloom in the winter, so why did I think you would grow? I wanted to stay, but you didn't want it that way. I knew you better than anyone else. Whatever the weather, I'll be there, just reach out for help. Your flowers don't bloom in the winter, and maybe it wasn't meant to be. I'm wasting this time you go. I got permission to love you. You moved the post and I fell through. I think we should figure this out. I think we should figure this out. And God-given talent precedes you. You've got me caught up and then I can't see it. I think we should just figure this out. I think we should figure this out. Oh, but it's over. And you say that I know, and it all falls apart as you get up to go. You hold me from afar, and this feels like the end of a life that I think we should figure this. Well, you take time even though you don't need it. Work in the machine, and it's okay for you to say you don't need me. No, 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 I think we should just figure this out. There was a couple of words that fell out your mouth. Oh, but it's and you say that I know, and it all falls apart as you get up to go. You hold me from afar, and this feels like the end of a life that I live for. When I get up to go, you spend all my respect, and you get up to go,
Okay, so that was Gigi Wild with her song Permission. And this is a song off her recent EP that she released through Goodtwin. So she's another artist on the roster. And the EP is called Life at the Kitchen Table. And it's just such a beautiful concept. And it's all about, you know, capturing these beautiful conversations that happen around a kitchen table, you know, when everyone's eating and sharing dinner, and just like the different emotional touch points of how these conversations can go. The reason why I've chosen this song is Gigi to me is an artist where she's really proving the way the industry is going, where streaming is not reflective of like the culture and the community that you can build. And by that I mean, you know, her EP has done relatively well, but she in September sold out a 250 capacity show at St. Matthias Church in Dalston.
Amazing.
And, to be able to sell out a room like that, it's a beautiful, beautiful church. And, just to be able to look up and see people pouring through the door, like just before she came on, and looking around and seeing that it was a packed room of, it wasn't just friends and family, it was like actual fans. And, for a relatively new artist to be able to do something like that, to me, just proves that streaming is just no longer reflective. There's a lot of talk right now that someone can have millions of streams, but they can't sell a 150 cap show.
Yep.
And this is the opposite, So
she's really building a core fan base.
And at Goodtwin, that's what we have decided to become absolutely obsessed with. So even recently took our artists through a whole new model and a whole new mindset, where we said to all of them, we got them all on a group Zoom call, and we said to all of them, took them through this model, and it was all about shifting their focus away from streaming and algorithms, social media algorithms, over to like fans and community. So Gigi, she's just already got so many great ideas of how she's really gonna like start to tap into her fans and nurture them. And the other thing I'll say about this song, Permission, is that I was so lucky to see her sing this just with Ed, her producer and guitarist, in an Apple Music meeting. And
nice.
She, her vocals are just so stunning, and to sit there and just like hear this song so perfectly in tune and just so delicate and lovely just made me, just went to the top of my favorite songs of hers. So as you'll come to learn in this conversation, I'm very drawn into like an emotional connection with an artist. Like, that's what gets me every time.
That's absolutely stunning and beautiful. And it took me into a trance. I think when I was listening to that, I felt like I was somewhere else, I was teleported.
Yes.
I love that idea of being able to have a conversation around the table and in the kitchen and just around those different places, because I've been telling friends of mine recently and talking to people, and I go, I don't care where we go ultimately. I don't care if we stay in. I don't care if we go somewhere else. I don't care what we eat, honestly.
Just want to talk.
Just want to be around the people that I want to be around. And I feel like that has so much depth to it that I think it's so much easier now, where people just want to go to the cool place just to be able to say, but if it's good and it's a good environment and you're with good people, that's what matters to me a little bit more. So even you just sharing that concept, now I need to listen to this on repeat to really get that even more in my bones.
Absolutely. And at her show, she actually had a really beautiful zine, where it went through sort of every song in the background and why it was written and had the lyrics. And even as someone that had heard this EP and listened to it so many times and was already just such a huge fan of Gigi, after that show, to take that zine home and to read that, I walked away with like just even more in-depth understanding of who she was. And it was incredible actually, even at the show. She just sold so much merch as well, which is I'm just so into merch. 2026, I'm like every artist, you're doing it. But life at the kitchen table, it is just such a beautiful concept. And even when we were talking about it with Rose, who works with me on the label, and we all just shared these beautiful stories that we had of like, family dinners around the table. Like for me, it was every night was like the family dinner around the table, but it became like such a important place as like even a teenager to be able to talk to my family, just talk about what was going on at school and like sort of get some feedback. And it was such a beautiful bond, like especially after I left home and realized that wasn't the same for everyone. So
it's a supportive network that you don't realize, but it's the consistent coming back over and over again. It's really beautiful.
And so we all just were sharing these beautiful stories that we had, and it made us just realize like actually almost everyone would have a great story of like a great conversation they had around the dinner table.
That's absolutely stunning. I can feel it right in deep, which is so beautiful. And the last thing I just want to point out, that was absolutely amazing thought process where you got all of your artists on a call together and said, this is the direction. We have individual relationships with each one of you, but you're a collective. You're part of this bigger thing that we're not just here to sign off a single or a project. We care about you as the artist, as the person, as the creative. Let's get you all together because maybe there's some synergies. If they're connecting with you,
Yes.
there has to be some kind of connections within one another.
Yes.
But then they all get it together. They're not getting to pieces and they're not getting it in different ways. They get what they're signing up for at the same time. I'm stealing this. I'm doing this because that
feel
is
free.
so good.
Yeah, it really was. It was, and so great for them to even understand, that we are working with like multiple people. But the beautiful thing was that they all went straight away and all followed each other, and a couple of them are now meeting up in Auckland, and like it was like, even though we were telling all of our artists like go and create community, we also put them in a community, so that you can steal that.
I mean, it's your community. I'm 100% stealing it, and it's your community.
Yes.
Like it's a thing that you've built,
Yeah.
and what you've told me earlier is that it's so important to have that, especially if you're going somewhere else and you're traveling places. But even if you're not and you're local, it's great to meet new people in the same area that you are that you didn't realize just because you haven't come in contact. But sometimes it does take being far away to reconnect locally in some capacities.
Yes.
I've done that in the US quite a few times. It's really beautiful. It's really, really great. And you see that, you just see that connection that you didn't realize that actually needed to happen.
Yes, I think 2026, all about community.
I love it.
Yeah.
We're stating it right now.
Yeah.
I'm here for it. I'm on
You
board
need
with
to-
the merch idea as
Yes.
well.
Merch communities, fans.
Coining it. You're
Yeah,
hearing
yeah.
it first. Lucy's 2026. I love it.
This is what I'm spreading now.
So your next track is by an artist
Yes.
and a great track. Tell me more.
Yes, so this is Saya Gray, who's probably my favorite artist right now. The song is called Empathy for Bethany. The reason why I've chosen this song is because more to talk about like Saya Gray as an artist. I mean, she's just like, she's an artist, she's a multi-instrumentalist. She's just so talented. She's like in her own lane. You just see that she just doesn't really give a shit about like what else is going on around her. She's not trying to compete with anyone. And she is someone who is really, building community of a community of hardcore fans. And I saw her play, was it last week in Brixton? And such an incredible show, as always. She's just a true artist on stage, playing multiple different guitars, and just like takes the fans on such a journey. But then she said to the audience, she was saying, who was here from 19 Masters, and that was one of her earlier albums, and maybe it was her first album. And so a bunch of people put their hand up, and then she said, community is absolutely everything. And she's like, I'm going to start dropping some like just surprise albums and stuff for you guys because I just love you so much. And
Wow.
and then literally like 3 days later, that's what she did. She dropped a whole new exclusive album for vinyl and for Bandcamp.
Wow.
And so this to me is just also like validating all the writing that I'm doing recently, and like this gospel that I'm spreading about 2026 being all about like fandom, nurturing fans, building community, nurturing your community, giving, and even just to veer off from Saya Gray for a little bit, the landscape in the industry has changed so much now. Like even 5 years ago, you would be penalized for releasing music outside of Spotify first. So Spotify wanted to be the first ones to release music. So if you did release like a vinyl beforehand or put it on Bandcamp, even radio play, they were not happy with that. So you had to time your release so that if your song was played on radio, it could be discovered on Spotify at the same time.
Wow.
And the world that we're in now, where people are feeling, not to bag out Spotify, but just the insane volume, it just means they can support less artists. And now people are just being like, what, screw it, I'm going to release an album completely exclusive of DSPs. I'm going to put it on Bandcamp. I'm going to do pre-release stuff for my fans. And that's what Saya's done. So I just absolutely love that she's just doing exactly that.
It's such a shift.
yeah.
And I love that is the main focus of what you're doing, because that becomes your head of this wave.
Yeah.
There's quite a few artists probably doing that and two teams doing that, but it's not the norm. It's not even close to the norm.
Yeah.
Everyone is still chasing, playlisting, chasing, streaming, chasing the social side of stuff to be able to do stuff. So I love the mentality of finding a few of these artists that you know personally and connect with in this way, and just honing in on that over and over, because those are the people who are going to build their business.
Yes,
And ultimately,
yeah.
that's a tool. Spotify's a tool. Apple's a tool. Like, these streaming platforms are a tool to be able to get out there.
Yeah.
But that's not the thing that is going to build a sustainable business. It's the people that are
Yeah.
actually engaging with them over and over.
Who are
Like that.
gonna buy stuff from you? You
Yeah.
know, just like that's it. These are the people that are actually going to buy tickets, buy merch, buy vinyl. You know, things that you put into the world, your art. And yeah, like, you know, just to back up what you said, you know, Spotify, social media, they are all tools. Like, you know, definitely keep using it, but just don't have that as your main focus. And I think even as an industry, we've been a little bit lazy in the last 10 years. We've allowed Spotify to do a lot of the marketing for us. You know, we've just relied on getting in playlists and relied on that discovery, and it's just no longer, you know, the same sustainable industry
Yeah.
in that sense. So yeah, the other thing I'll say about Saya is at this show, the reason I've chosen this song specifically is because it was just such a beautiful moment. She was performing the song, and I was just, you know, I was in a room full of artists and singers, you know, because that's the kind of artist that she attracts. And she sung the song, and the chorus, I was just like in a room with the most beautiful singers, just like singing this perfectly in tune, and I just like melted while I was listening to it. So that's why I've specifically chosen this song, because I've just listened to it on repeat since.
Well, we're going to bring it back over and over again, so now you all can hear it here. This is Saya Gray. Please enjoy Empathy for Bethany.
I wanna run, but I've run out of places to run to. We hardly begun, and I am
back into my old ways again. Back into my old ways again. Back into my old ways. I know what's coming, it's so shocking. Always fucking up to something. Eagles coming, should be stopping. Eagles nothing. I know what's coming, it's so shocking. Always fucking up to something. Slowly swapping down to slopping, barely coping. I know what's coming, it's so shocking. Always fucking up to something. Eagles coming, should be stopping. Eagles nothing. I know what's coming, it's so shocking. Always fucking up to something. Slowly swapping down to slopping, barely coping. I know what's coming, it's so shocking. Always fucking up to something. Eagles coming, should be stopping. Eagles nothing. I know what's coming, it's so shocking. Always fucking up to something. Slowly swapping down to slopping, barely coping. Again. I know why I said never again. Temptation feels like it never ends. I'm sliding powerless as I descend back into my old ways again. 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 Back into my old ways again.
And that was
That was Tame Impala, My Old Ways. The reason I have chosen that is to shine a light on Australian artists, because I'm working with Australia and New Zealand artists, but more so to shine a light on just the incredible music scene of Australia. And I say this to Australian industry, like music industry people that I go and connect with. I like to remind them or say, you know, maybe you aren't aware of this, but Australia has such an incredible reputation. You know, I keep meeting people over here who always just say, like, some of my favorite artists have come from Australia, and every artist that I meet wants to go over and perform over there. So
I'm one of
yes,
those.
yes.
Very much so.
Yeah. So, but equally, I just absolutely love the Deadbeat album. I think that, you know, again, it's the emotional connection that I feel when I first heard My Old Ways. You know, it's just that raw, like, voice note at the very start just made it just sounds like quite vulnerable, and then I just did not expect it to sort of turn into like more of a dance track.
Yeah.
And I just love that, like, juxtaposition of what he's talking about lyrically versus like the fact that it is, like, you know, quite a dancey track. And yeah, and I know that there's been a lot of talk about this album. Some diehard fans are like, oh, you know, but it's different. And I just think, like, good on him, you know, like, even like everyone else that works in the industry or, you know, other industries, they're allowed to, like, pivot as much as they want and have different careers and try new things. And, you know, you can have different roles within the music industry. So, like, why can't artists actually just get to shapeshift their way around different genres? And, you know, and I do really think that, like, this is actually a very, like, relevant album with, like, the the music scene right now. Like there's just a lot of like dance music.
I love to hear that. I mean,
Yeah.
coming from you, where you're able to you listen to tons of music, you have been listening to music for a long period of time. This is someone that comes from your part of the world in some ways, and obviously you've been following the career of Tame Impala, the brand, for
Yes.
such a long period of time.
Yeah.
And we were just talking, like, he hasn't released a project in a handful of years.
Yeah,
previous to this.
2020.
So that I feel like is the difficulty piece, because if you get to such a big level where you're headlining festivals, you're traveling the world, you're playing for people, and you actually have a global audience, you can't make the thing that you want to make. In some ways you have to make it for everybody else, and that is such an interesting dilemma as an artist, because if you just want to make the stuff that you want to make and you're hoping that the people do understand that, who are fans of yours, but then that's almost the epitome of releasing music. It's not yours anymore. It interprets in so many ways, and I feel like that is such a great conversation for artists to, yes, it's personal, I get that, but for them to maybe lean into a little bit more and think through as the fact of, it's not my music. People are talking about it though. Like, that's what I hope to be able to get from it, but I get, because it's so personal, that's difficult to be in those shoes.
Yeah, I do think that I always like to put the positive spin on everything.
Yeah.
I do think that in this scenario, if you're going to, sort of like shift into another sort of genre and sound, then sure, some people will drop off, but you're going to gain so much as well, because you're actually going to tap into other audiences that, always thought that you were something else.
Yeah.
So I do love that as well. I mean, even like look at Bon Iver, started as like very sort of like indie folk and very much went like more experimental and
Yeah.
electronic. So, and then sort of now combines the two really well.
Well, that's the creatives. If they can do
Yeah,
that, and they
yeah.
can keep doing it at the level where they're pushing to the next piece, we always get excited. and
Yeah,
really
for sure.
see them as true artists.
Yeah, I think also like I almost think the hardest question to ever ask an artist is, what genre is this? Like,
So true.
they do no longer do they want to be just like pocketed into a specific genre or world. Like, it's so normal now that they have these albums that are just like, a broad genres. And we literally go around the houses trying to when you're doing like the pitching,
Yeah.
and they ask for a genre, and
Yeah.
we're just like,
Who are you like as well? That's the thing that I also get frustrated with too, because I just say it's good music or it's not my taste.
yeah,
That's what I say
Yeah.
now. And I feel like if you're finding similar artists, it's just to paint the picture of how to set the scene for somebody to be able to go into. But if you play an album and it's different from album to album or EP to EP, you can't set the scene. You kind of just have to say, trust me on this one.
yeah.
And I think that's maybe the way to go. That's my 2026. Just trust me on this one.
Trust me on
Just trust me on this one.
I know. Just give me a minute of your time. Just listen. I think that is honestly like the hardest thing, is actually just getting someone to click on a link.
Yeah.
Because, I know that the music that I'm working with is truly, truly beautiful. But the hard thing is just actually getting someone to click.
Yeah, over and over again. Just got to
Yeah.
market it over and over.
Yeah.
Keep following up in
Yeah.
certain ways.
Yeah, I more so mean with like the pitching,
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
true.
Yeah. Like
All of
just-
that.
Anyway.
What a time.
Yeah.
World on this side to get music listened to. It's tough out there.
I know.
Well, the
that's
next-
why.
yeah.
Sorry, that's why you've got to
Yeah.
build fans and community, because they're the ones that are going to listen.
Well, this is the circle back. I'm here for it. I'm your
Yes.
biggest fan on
Yes.
supporting this happen.
Love
We'll do it
that.
together.
Yes.
Well, moving on to another artist who has been doing really, really well over the last handful of years, and I think has built a really good fan base over a period of time. This track that you've selected, does it mean a lot to you? Is it connected in a few ways?
It does, like so many ways. I'll try and distill it, but yes, so the next track is Loyal Kana with his song Hate. He released this in 2022. But funnily enough, I think this is going to be my most listened to song of this year. And there's like multiple reasons, but the reason why I selected it is because there's like a saying that I just absolutely love sharing, which is that fans crave connection. And I just think for artists, no longer is it like, just listen to my song. You have to reel people in with an emotional connection.
Definitely.
And especially for me who works in music, I just don't want to hear another song. It's all I hear all day is songs, so I want to be emotionally tapped in. And Loyal Kana is an artist that I've been a fan of for years and years and years. I think when I first moved to London, I went and watched him at Shepherd's Bush, And this to me is just such a great example of me, who's always been a fan, but then this year I've been like reeled back in.
Amazing.
And that's due to multiple things. Like I saw his Glastonbury set and I thought that was really stunning. But then he also did a piece of content talking about like just how surreal it is to be at Glastonbury performing on stage, but then to be like driving home afterwards in the silence, and you know just how crazy like that juxtaposition is of everyone in the crowd, you know, like singing you, and then you're just like driving home in silence. And so I love that. And then he was also on Chicken Shop Date as well.
Yeah.
And I just loved, getting to, you know, feeling like I could understand him a little bit more as a person.
Cool.
And he talked about how he's like empathetic to a fault, and that to me like really, really connected with that, because I've felt like that before. And I actually read a really good book called Against Empathy, written by Paul Bloom, which is all about trying to find like the rational side of empathy. And so when I read that, I was like, oh, I need to give him this book.
Yeah.
But yeah, this song specifically, I love how like passionate he is and how angry he is, and how it's quite different to music that he has released in the past. And I just love like the chords, the musicianship and the lyrics. You know, the fact that it's my most listened to song might make you think that I'm like quite an angry person, like going around like in a rage, but it's just not the case at all. I just like hear the emotion, and I think that's why I'm like so connected to it.
I love that it's catalog. It's not stuff that just came out this year, but it's kind of a nice little resurgence for you. It's come back to song that has already been out for a little bit of time, and now you're finding new meaning in your own way to kind of decipher that, but also connecting more to him, connecting more to that artist in that way. So love that a lot.
Yes, and the music video as well, just incredible. So
he hit it on all the facets.
Yes, he did,
and doubled down in 2025.
All the emotional touch points that I could found me. Yeah. So
well, let's get into it.
Yes.
This is Hate by Loyal Connor.
Yeah, listen, let me tell you what I hate. Everything I ain't, everything I've done, everything I break. I hate the way that you were saying I'd be great. Straight, let me tell you what I love, that there's no one above. The thought it is what it is. Shit, same thought it was what it was. Yeah, I'm like the dove that had flew too close to the sun and he knew deep down there was nothing he could do. It's fuck because the sun was you. But still I tell you what I hate though. The same fellas getting bodied by the plain clothes, the same niggas that would follow on the rainbows, very same boys that would follow on the way home. Yeah, either your jacket or your raincoat, trying to take something that ain't dope. It's painful. The times wish I had a guardian angel to help me with the brothers that's shameful, but still I love the rainfall. I love the fact that they're so fucking grateful. I love the fact that my plate's full. I love the money in my bank is disgraceful. So many zeros. I brush shoulders with so many heroes. I lost count, still hold those De Niro's. Trying to say something, my ears closed. I fear those lost in the past, living on a recline. The same look up in the rise, if they're borrowed with time. It's 9 lives on the edge, see the finishing line. It's right there on the horizon, couldn't finish the rhyme. I hate time. I said I fucking hate time. Yeah, they said that it was all that you could be if you were black. Begging ball or maybe rap, and they would say it like a fact. All my people in the back, all the nurses in the front, all my teachers where you at? Cause we've been living like a trap, but the numbers on the wall hoping people will react. But it's a fact, we've been living in the trap, with tracks. I hate, I love, hate the ones who think that they're above. My grandfather told me never trust in them, but I do. You're the ones I shouldn't chew, I start with them, this is it. Still, I see men hit women who hit back, who couldn't give a shit. Hit them but won't crack under pressure with this shit feeling. And yo, this shit feeling, listen, yo, I fear women. I fear love, religion. I fear drugs, the feeling. I fear us, nearing the end. But I can't comprehend my fears, wisdom. I fear him. Yeah, I fear the colour of my skin. I fear the colour of my kin. I still feel the colour that's within. Yo, they said that it was all that you could be if you were black. Playing ball or maybe rap, and they would say it like a fact. Trust, so all my people in the back, all the nurses in the front, all my teachers, where you at? Yeah, cause we've been living like a trap. Put the numbers on the wall, hoping people will react. But it's a fact, we've been living in a trap. We're trapped. Yo, they said that it was all that you could be if you were black. Playing ball or maybe rap, and they would say it like a fact. So all my people in the back, all the nurses in the front, all my teachers, where you at? Yeah, cause we've been living like a trap. Put the numbers on the wall, hoping people will react. But it's a fact, we've been living in a trap. We're trapped.
Away from the sun. You like the lonely word?
I've been away sometimes, shit change don't mean I could change your mind, yeah. You been away sometimes, shit change, or you getting complacent now, yeah. And everyone say you fine when you home, you don't wanna be alone, no. Cause you feel away inside, but inside ain't ever this cold. I heard it get lonely. Outside, yeah. I heard it get lonely, outside. It's gonna be alright, it's gotta be alright. You can thank your homegirls, you took all of your advice. Maybe this is life, or maybe this is spite. I don't even know anymore, I'm not that type. I'm not about that type. Right now I'm on this flight, red eye to my show, let me guess you highlight. Room could tell I held you back, now you back to where you vibe. Getting down on the floor, gotta run before you fly. I've been away sometimes, shit change don't mean I could change your mind, yeah. You been away sometimes, shit change, or you getting complacent now, yeah. And everyone say you fine when you home, you don't wanna be alone, no. Cause you feel away inside, but inside ain't ever this cold. I heard it get lonely, outside, yeah. I heard it get lonely, outside.
To. I'm glad you finally doing everything that you want to. I know you love standing on tables and clubs. I'm worried about your well-being cause I know what you're drawn to. Got tired of getting drunk at the dive bar. Sold your family on Chevy cause it wasn't a NASCAR. Going way too fast, not good on gas. Cause you settled down for anyone who'd hand you a black card.
I've been away sometimes, shit change don't mean I could change your mind, yeah. You been away sometimes, shit change, or you getting complacent now, yeah. And everyone say you fine when you home, you don't wanna be alone, no. Cause you feel away inside, but inside ain't ever this cold. I heard it get lonely, outside, yeah. I heard it get outside, I heard it get lonely, outside, I heard it get.
Well, that was Wale and Shabuzi with the song Lonely. And this is a brand new project from Wale. He just released it in November, so it just came out. And if you don't know Shabuzi at this point, this guy has been absolutely flying over the last few years. So to have that, both of their voices, I was glued when this song came out. So I've been just starting to listen to this project. I can't wait to get back into it. And the reason why is Wale went to my high school, which is so crazy to think about. And he's massive. He's been doing music for such a long time, releasing stuff. I just have a weird little connection in there. But this song was the one that it just like perked. I was like, whoa, Wale's back. Like I forget sometimes where artists are. So thank you, Wale. And thank you for that collaboration with Shabuzi. Yeah, it's great, wasn't it? So we're going to move into our next track. The song is called Darlin' by Gene Dawson. It was the lead track of the album Glimmer of God, and it came out about a year ago. I actually just recently discovered the song, which is absolutely crazy because I'm a fan of Gene Dawson. I have about 6 tracks on like multiple playlists all playing through. But I've been listening to the song recently, and when we were making this together, I just felt like it vibed with exactly what we needed to. So
amazing.
Please enjoy.
Excited.
Darlin', Gene Dawson.
If I die, would you bring me flowers often? Darling. Darling. If I killed a man, would you buy the coffin? Darling. Do you like flowers? As much as I do, if the sky loses its blue, I'll bury myself alive. Burn my bones with light. Darling, where'd you point this gun at? Who tryna hurt me? Would you rob this bank blind? I would die for you and cry for you. And I'm your baby. Do you like flowers? As much as I do, if the sky loses its blue, I'll bury myself alive.
for no reason. Cause the world taught me that I gotta be sweet even when I don't mean it. And I dance for my money, yeah, attention seeker. When I chase your applause like it's running from the law, cause my ego needs it. I could be your orchestra, yeah. I could be your orchestra, yeah. Let me make you feel some way, yeah. Let this body serenade, yeah. I could be your orchestra, yeah. I could be your orchestra, yeah. I can make you feel some way, yeah. Let me be your orchestra. Trumpet, trombone, violin, check. We got the sound of a feeble attempt, begging for applause that I need to exist. When I bring the sound that will keep you possessed, I give you the horn and I give you the bass. Larger than life when I'm hiding my pain. I'm the fucking best cause I claw for my fame. Praying it's the cure to my size, it's your rage. I could be your orchestra, yeah. I could be your orchestra, yeah. Let me make you feel some way. Let this body serenade. I could be your orchestra, yeah. I could be your orchestra, yeah. I can make you feel some way. Let me be your orchestra. Just shed a little tear for me. With the world's smallest violin. I ain't crying over spilled milk. All singing, all dancing. I'll never be a has-been. I'll play the whole band for you. Just baby, tell me I'm happening. All singing, all dancing. I'll never be a has-been. I'll play the whole band for you. Just baby, tell me I'm happening. Happening, 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 happening,
Whoa.
Wow.
Whoa, right? He's incredible.
Crazy. That is incredible.
I saw all of us just bobbing our heads at the
Yes.
exact same piece every time.
Could you imagine seeing that live? Oh my God.
You could
Stunning.
visualize it probably even more than what he does half the time.
Yeah, yeah. I said that Darlin with Jean Dawson was my new favorite, but that is my new favorite.
Yeah. Hits you back to back.
yeah, yeah.
That was Labyrinth. That is Orchestra, one of the new tracks that has been out recently. And Labyrinth has been an absolute sensational artist in my own world for quite a bit of time now. And this has just come out pretty recently. It was on my release radar, which I fucking love because I can consistently just keep coming back to artists that release new music and I'm always going to get it right away. So Fridays, mostly on the weekends, I get to go listen to it. And I was passively listening to the music, and this was one of the first like 5 or 6 from that week. Oh my God, did it go on repeat after that and get added and added. And I was so excited to add it to one of the shows they were doing for the month because that just hit. Mm-hmm. He's amazing.
Yep, absolutely amazing.
So I have a fantastic transition here because the first track I like actually listened to and got of Labyrinth was when I had iTunes before streaming.
Yes. Okay.
And I still have that on my phone, the music app of what it is when I find it in some ways. And one of his songs is on there, Beneath My Beautiful. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, have I been a fan for a while since then. But the reason why it's a transition is because that was kind of one of your first jobs, like really building into the world that you have now at iTunes, Apple, in every which way. So pretty amazing to be able to now like feel that through many years later into what it is Apple Music now and Platoon and stuff. But tell me a little bit more of that journey that you've had, Lucie, in like you worked for a label when you first got on here as an intern, and it kind of now turned into you working for one of the biggest companies technically in the world.
Yes. So when I got to London, was at networking events, just trying to meet as many people as possible in the music industry, and just to get a lay of the land of like what the opportunity was, what the job roles were. And so I met this really wonderful, now great friend at a networking event. We were like similar age, both trying to get into the industry. And she was actually working for a small label. And I went back to New Zealand for, just over Christmas for a holiday. And as I landed, she sent me a message on Twitter. Back then, I guess that was normal. Doesn't seem normal now. And she had said to me, I've met someone who's looking for a project manager. Can you send through your CV? So I sent it to her. And the story is that I sent it to her. She sent it to her manager. Her manager sent it to her boss. Her boss sent it to then who became my boss. And that was the wonderful Denzel Feigelson. And I looked him up online. And he just had like the most random LinkedIn. His role was like a synergist at iTunes, and I was
What a title!
And I was just like, okay, this is crazy. And then he just sent me this like one-liner email, like, hi Lucy, can we Skype? Which back then was the way that you did that. And so we had this really great conversation. Although he couldn't really tell me too much about it. About what the project was for, but he needed a project manager and someone to come in and run his calendar as well. And after signing a few NDAs, after doing a little bit of back and forth, doing some actually really fun homework that he'd set me just to like make sure that we were aligned, and music had the same sort of taste and everything. He told me a bit about it, and it was actually working on the launch of Apple Music.
Wild.
And so Apple Music launched in July 2015, and him and I were responsible for getting thousands upon thousands, must be like 20,000 playlists, uploaded and ready in the system for launch. So this project kicked off in like February, bearing in mind we only had like a few months to get it done. And the whole thing was just so stealth. We were, because no one knew, it was supposed to be a big secret, the way that Apple do stuff. So it was Denzel and I, we were like the middlemen working between all of these incredible curators and music lovers in all these different territories, and then also like feeding all of that back into Apple. So that was really, really incredible. And then off the back of that launching, Denzel, who is just such a pioneer and he champions independent artists, he always has. He founded AWOL back in the day. And this was like the end of 2015, and you probably won't believe it now, but back then this idea of label services was like a brand new concept. There were only a few people in the industry actually creating these sorts of like boutique label companies that were like distribution plus services. So artists were the master rights owners, and they were given fair deals, but also label services. And, that was just Denzel tearing his hair out and being like, why do artists only have one of two options? They can either go sign to a huge distributor, or they have to give all their rights away up front for a label. So Platoon was born, and actually Phineas just posted a couple of days on Instagram saying, today was the day that we uploaded Ocean Eyes to SoundCloud.
Wow.
Which must mean that about today is probably 10 years that we uploaded that song into Spotify and Apple Music. So we found that song on SoundCloud and uploaded it, and at the time what we were offering was actually a really great option for them. And so Billie Eilish was one of the first artists that we worked with on Platoon.
Casual.
And and then it was Jorja Smith that followed, Rex Orange County, Steph London. So we just across 2015, 2016 just had this incredible run of artists who were really just looking for a better option, So I was the head of music at Platoon for about 8 years, overseeing a lot of the different genres, and just working with some incredible artists. And it was just an amazing experience to go through, because at the start, we were like pretty bootstrap and independent. And then in 2018 got acquired by Apple. So we became an official Apple Music company and Apple Music label, which, definitely rocked the industry a little bit, because they were like, Apple Music has a label, and everyone sort of freaked out. But then we very, quickly told them that this is actually about the artist. This is all about the artist. You know, we're not doing this to get any exclusive in on Apple or anything like that. The only reason that we've partnered with a company like Apple is so that our artists, you know, aren't actually tied to like any other major label. Like they're still very independent. They can actually. It was more about what we could offer them, the resources, and so yeah, that was just a really, really incredible experience. Obviously, running that label.
Quite a few years.
Yes.
Being able to do that.
Yes.
You can only pinpoint a few different moments. If you could, what would be another moment that just resembled the hard work that you put in and the connections that you feel like you were able to make a difference in?
Yes, I think obviously when we were such a small team, this is where like my absolute hard working background of advertising like paid off, because I was like, you know, I was running campaigns, I think at one time for like 30 artists, and just absolutely drowning. You know, like Denzel is like a yes man, so he would go and, you know, be like, yeah, we can do this, and you know, and I was absolutely drowning, but also just like really trying to, you know, deliver on the promise for all of these artists. So that was like definitely a great learning, and something that I've like taken with me into Goodtwin, is that like actually when your roster is that full, you're actually not giving them that service that they've come there for, you know. So yeah, that was just, you know, the whole thing was just you know, you're starting a company and you are just taking on a lot of work, and you're trying new things. And one of the things that I really loved about it was how innovative we could be, because we could just pivot at any time. And I tell you what, sometimes I would go into a meeting with an artist and I'd be telling them all about our deal. Then I'd come out and I'd go into a meeting with the Platoon team and the lawyer, and they'd be saying, all right, we're now like structuring this, we're doing it this way. I'd come out of that meeting and go into the next meeting, and I'd have to talk about the deal in like a completely different way and about the company. And it was like,
Oh my gosh.
that's what it was like. You know, we just shape shifted so much, pivoted all the time, tried new things, you know, but it was such a great place to be able to do that as well.
The infrastructure just to be able to have, but also the freedom is massive. It's really difficult to have freedom, but also be able to have a little backing where you have a little security and a little cushion that you're not doing it by yourself.
Yes.
So that must have been a really nice little balance between different pieces.
Yes.
Now I have a question for you. Is there one song that really stood out, or a project specifically from an artist during your time at Platoon specifically, that just blew you away?
Oh, honestly, it's hard to choose, but I for sure remember the very first time I heard Yebba, and there was she had a video, she'd done a So Far Sounds. I don't know if you've seen it, My Mind.
Many times.
And, you know, Denzel, we were just sitting around the table at Platoon, the kitchen table, and he was like, so, you know, I've had this artist reach out, and he put it on. And we were all just looking at the screen, like all of us almost in tears, just like, you know, knocked us sideways. And you know, it's just like, that is the power of a song and an emotional connection, and like where everything is just perfect. And so we ended up working with Yebba and did a really, really incredible project where we actually did partner with Apple, and, you know, we did a video for her song Evergreen, like, you know, in a church with a choir and a full band, and it was, you know, like spiritual to say the least. So that's definitely one of many, many incredible moments that I had there.
I can feel the goosebumps. I know the video you're talking about.
Yeah, okay.
So
for Evergreen.
But now I can imagine what that experience would have been like, even in the room, to actually feel that. And I feel like we're so connected on digital so much that feeling it in person, we need to just keep honing in on that more and more and more, which I love. So now you've kicked off, it's been about a year, a little bit over than a year.
Yes.
At Goodtwin.
Yep.
That's
just
now
started.
your baby.
It
Everything
is.
about you.
Yes.
And like all the stuff you've learned through there. What is it that separates Goodtwin from so many other things that you've learned? Why is it so unique to you?
So Goodtwin started in January, and really when I was coming to leave Platoon, I was really thinking about, like, you know, the next challenge. And I actually had a failed move to Sydney, which sort of inspired everything. My husband and I were going to moved to Sydney at the start of last year, and then we booked our flights, and the next day he got a call about an incredible opportunity, and within 7 days the flights were cancelled. We'd done a complete U-turn and decided to stay in London. So I was actually in a great position. I was on maternity leave, so I was able to really just take stock and just have that time to think of time and focus to think about what I wanted to do next, all in the midst of actually trying to deal with a newborn.
Yes. So much free time.
Yeah, so much free time.
Yeah.
But that was just really incredible, and it made me think, I was so excited about moving back to the Southern Hemisphere because I'd be able to take all this experience and knowledge and hopefully go and get stuck into the artist community there. And then one day I just sort of had this light bulb moment where I was like, actually, I can probably be more helpful by being based over here, because if I go back, and one day I'm sure I will, then eventually I will just be deeply embedded in the industry there, whereas here I can actually keep meeting contacts, keep utilizing everything that I know and understand about London, and actually use that to help New Zealand Australian artists and build a bit of that bridge, because I understand their territory as well. So last year I started a community of Kiwis who work in music and live in London called Inward Bound, and the goal there was just to really be able to offer New Zealanders a landing pad if they were to do what I did all those years ago and come over. At least it would be a starting point, and just a great feeling to have a community as well, and just to it's you already have common ground with the fact that you've sacrificed quite a lot to actually come over here. You've left all your family, and you understand going from a small place to a big city. So so that was really, really great. And then September last year I decided to fly to New Zealand on a solo trip and go and just meet everyone in the industry and just get a lay of the land, and really put that idea of how can I actually help this community by being based in London, and I just got to really understand even more so the industry there and the challenges. So I just got on that plane and came back and was I'm going to start a label, and and that was Goodtwin, and I'm an identical twin, so hence the name. And the most common question I get is, does that make her the bad twin? But I tell people that because we're identical, you just would never know. We're just always one of us is always the good twin.
Love it.
And so Goodtwin, our mission is really to build a bridge between these territories and to help these artists actually break out faster. And one of there's many sort of challenges that exist. You've probably heard about geofencing, but sometimes when an artist might say I'm an Australian artist, then industry over here or in America or anywhere can just sort of be oh, okay, that's not my problem. We'll just that's just we'll just leave that to their territory. So there's a few things that I'm testing. Maybe if I don't explicitly state that some of the artists I'm working with are actually from New Zealand, Australia, then people will have to make their own mind up. There's another sort of phenomenon that exists in New Zealand, Australia, where a lot of the time artists actually have to leave to get some credibility overseas, for then people in New Zealand, Australia to actually become really loyal and to really care about what they're up to. Because it's almost like when they're an artist in New Zealand, Australia, I don't know, it's just there's also another sort of cultural phenomenon called tall poppy syndrome, where you're not really supposed to stand out amongst your peers. You're supposed to be quite modest, and you don't really talk about your accolades and achievements. So that's quite hard for artists that are based there but are actually doing really well. They sort of kick around and they're I guess I'm an artist, but you're no, you're absolutely killing it. So to be able to actually bring some of our artists out and bring them over here and get them some really cool overseas exposure, get them playing live, just give them a few of those credibility stamps, then ultimately, hopefully, people back home will become more loyal and excited about what they're up to.
I love that. You have such a great direction. on where to go. It's specific, but also so broad at the same time. And I relate so much to that of trying to be that bridge in some ways to the US, North America, over to the UK. And that just opens up Europe, that opens up different markets in Asia, that opens up different markets in Africa and in Australia in a lot of ways, because it's really difficult to connect sometimes US to Australia, New Zealand and stuff like that. So I relate so much to that. And I feel like it's a great test. I really like that test because each artist has their own path, and that's a difficulty piece because they want to relate to, I'll do it like this one or I'll do it like this one. But you can't really, you kind of have to just keep driving home and what works best for you and just figuring it out on your own.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And the other thing is, when I was really thinking about starting Goodtwin, I actually realized now, like, having a niche was actually so important to have that differentiator.
Nice.
Because, if I had just started another label services here, just, I would have just been like everyone else. Like, there's just so many label services companies now. So I think having that focus on New Zealand, Australia, and we are working with UK artists as well. Gigi Wild before is one of our UK artists. We're not just taking from this community. We're we're nurturing.
It's both. It's all the above.
Yes. But it just made me think, I don't need to worry about what everyone else is doing because I'm doing my own thing. And it is quite unique as a concept, to be based here and to be building that bridge. And but interestingly, keep meeting really incredible people like Sarah. I haven't met her yet, but from last week, where she's doing the same with like Switzerland and other artists in Europe, and what you're doing with America. So in that sense, it is it's just cool to find other people doing something quite similar.
We'll take over the world.
We'll
each have our own territory. And we'll have our own incubation. It'll be perfect.
We could all just come together, and the concept can just be building bridges between these territories. And I guess that's what international marketing is really supposed to do, but I think it's hard to find international marketing people that can really get that right.
I respect it so much. I think it is the beginning stages, but it's not the beginning stages in a lot of ways. And there's so much talent that continues to come out there. It's just being able to develop that. And it really feels like that's the focus in what you're doing, is the development side of things. And you can put stuff out there, but it's even more than that, which I find exactly aligned on.
Yes.
Love that in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I think as well, I say that I'm on a bit of a mission to just like bring good to the industry because the ethos of Goodtwin is, we do still want to work with early stage artists. We do still want to give these artists funding. We love the idea that the label has been, female founded and female led, like most of the team. I've got Rose who works with me full time, and then we've got some contractors. Most are women. And it's kind of crazy that that actually does really mean something. I'm really reflecting now because it's almost been a year of the label, and that is something. I get the most random people reaching out to me, and they're like, it's almost like there's a maternal thing, like there's a trust thing that's already there. So I do get random people reaching out, being like, oh, I'm looking for management. I just want like a female manager. But you know what? The great thing is this year I have met so many incredible, like, good music industry people. I really, really have. Like, there's a lot of people who just have like the right values. Their hearts are in the right place. They just want to be helping artists and giving back to the community. So that's amazing.
Well, it's actually rising to the top, that cream of where things are at. And I feel like when you feel that and you're surrounding yourself with those people over and over again, that hopefully we'll be able to establish a new mechanism moving forward. And that will be the new wave that everybody can go and follow in and say, if you aligned in this way, this is what's moving things forward. This is moving humanity forward. This is what's moving the music space forward. And ultimately, I think that's what's going to connect the next generation and current generations together. Because that's the beauty now that we can connect those dots. How do we connect those dots through multi-generation? So we're actually doing good. And I love that so much. I love how much like you're really pushing forward of being female founded and female run and really engaging in that, because that needs to just be more in conversation, more in front of the room. And I absolutely love the connections that you're making and finding those right people and those people finding you. That's the bit that hopefully like the digital world is built for. and that's what we can do.
Yes, I know. And that's why I just think, you know, the focus next year also just has to be about fans and community. And I really do see that the industry is like almost, I feel like it may split in two. You know, over here there's always going to be the labels that are just signing the streamers, and you know, they're only putting money into digital marketing, and they're not so worried about, like, you know, the brand and the visuals and the art side. It's like they're just playing that passive listening. And then over here is, you know, the artists that are actually building something so authentic and genuine, and not that these guys are, but you know, it's like it's very art led.
Yes.
And yeah, and so I really think that is like just a huge focus for the industry in 2026.
Well, I'm going to stand right beside you, and we'll make this happen. I freaking love it. So we're going to get into our next track. It's called The Hand by Annabelle Dinda, and I'm just letting you guys ride it through because this is a track I discovered and is absolutely sensational. So please enjoy.
Every time a guy writes a song, he's a cowboy, a sailor, running with the world in his palm like the first pioneer. Every time he opens his mouth, it's a loud movie trailer, ripping every image and sound he thinks proves he was
tested, and just when I thought that I couldn't take anymore, gave me the strength to keep holding on. My world becomes beyond me. I found the courage to love. I see the world in new colors, so clear like night and day. First time I heard you cry, I knew you took my breath away. Now I could never imagine life any other way. You make it all worth it. Nothing compares as I witness the ways that you change every single day. You've taught me to become so gracious, so patient. The rain falls, the wind blows, I'll keep holding on. I'll always cherish the first time you smiled and looked into my eyes. You gave me a reason to keep holding on. My heart is yours. Your joy surrounds me. I promise to protect it. I see the west in your colors, so clear like night and day. First time I heard you cry, I knew you took my breath away. Now I could never imagine life any other way. You make it all worth it.
And that is Anais with her song My World Beyond. And that is off of a brand new album that has just been released this year in September. A really close person shared this with me, the whole album in my life. And I listened to it over and over. We listened to the whole album at least twice through from recalling all of that. And then I kind of came back as we were doing this, and I just like really connected with the whole record. Anais is originally from France, but has kind of like jumped around quite a few places, kind of upbringing her place all across the world, and now is London based. And this album, from what I've been told, is something so special to her as like her next evolution of her life, kind of her next chapter in different ways. So I went back through, and this was the song that I think I had in my head the whole time after listening to the album over again. So thought I'd share it.
She is so beautiful. Just that voice, stunning.
You felt in the world, which we'll leave it there and let you all take it from that point of view.
Go and listen to the album.
Have to. So now we're going to transition into a very different vibe. This is a band called Neckbreakers that is on repeat in my world right now. They are based in London, and they are siblings. There's 3 of them, and they developed this band a handful of years ago. They have a lot coming their way. I'll just start there. There's a lot coming their way. So this is my favorite track. It's called Elephant by the band Neckbreakers.
Wanna see me twice? Well, I'd rather see you later. I'm a road
side of the internet. Now you're around me, like a fly in the spider's web. Always astounds me how you haven't gotten over it. Now you're around me, like a story that I can't forget.
You don't remember me, but I remember you. You don't remember me, but I remember you.
Well, that is surely You Overwhelm Me by Copper Plate. And this song I discovered a handful of years ago and has been on a playlist of mine. And for some reason, I just keep coming back to it and coming back to it. So I hope you enjoy that. It just has such a good vibe. And I think coming after the song by Neckbreakers just really fluidly really sets us up for the end of this conversation. And don't worry, Lucie, you do not overwhelm me. This has been very, very good. That was not a great joke, but we'll go with it. But really hope you've enjoyed this conversation and all these great tracks that we've co-curated together.
Yes, yep. Amazing list.
I think I'm adding all of the ones you suggested to mine.
And I'll be adding all of yours to mine.
But I will not take hate away from you. That is your track for the year. I'll leave that on that side of things. But this has been really amazing to not just hear a little bit about your journey, but actually understand the ethos behind why you're doing what you're doing. Mm-hmm. I think I really relate in a few of your paths that you have, where you've come from different places and now gotten here, and now you've trying to transitioned over the last year into something that is almost the next evolution of supporting what the future is of artists, music, in all these different ways. I'm really inspired, and I think I'm even more inspired because I relate so much to that, and I'm trying to do as much as I can to do the same thing as you, supporting these artists across the world. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I think if we're all focused on that, then our hearts are in the right place. And you know, these especially emerging independent artists are going to be the ones that benefit from that.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep our circle slowly getting a little bit bigger and bigger and bigger. And I appreciate you being on today. I think it's a really good insight into great music, great artists, and a great mindset heading forward. So the year next year is for the fans, connecting in that community. I'm with you, and I'll support you through all that stuff too.
Yes, thank you so much. And I am actually writing about this a lot on Substack that I have.
Oh, great.
I just sort of, you know, an idea gets in my head, and I can usually just, once I've got it, then it's just like written within an hour or something. It just pours out of me, and then I just hit publish. But I am writing a lot about this and really trying to encourage people to understand like why this is so important, and also to understand how to really start building this from scratch. You know, it's very easy for artists who are already established to just be like, oh, I've actually, you know, now I should nurture them. But actually for artists who are just starting out, who really need to like understand how to capture like your first few emails or your first few, you know, fans, that is the special sauce, I think.
100%. I think you just spontaneously, when you're inspired writing about this, the conversation will just happen when that happens. So just keep doing that. I'm definitely going to subscribe so I can start tuning in, and I'll add some two pieces too, which I love. So we're going to end with one more track. It is a new track by an artist who is actually a dear, dear, dear friend of mine. And I've been really, really excited that she's released this project, small EP. But this song, I think I've been listening to it for a while before it's even come out. So I just thought it'd be a great way to end it. Nadia, you are amazing. This is Nadia Sheikh with her track Waiting.